In this day and age, everybody is calling everybody all sorts of things. And by that, I mean in the religious circles, Catholic, Christians alike, whoever, everybody's pointing at everybody else saying that this person is a wolf in sheep's clothing, this person is an agent of Satan, and all kinds of things in between. You are sent by God, you are being used by God, and vice versa. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about this very hot topic that, as you know, is going on as we speak. The Pope, the first American Pope, has been elected, if you will, by the cardinals. All of this is global news, and we are seeing it unfold in front of our very eyes. And people have all kinds of opinions. Now, on this channel for the last several years, I've talked about how we as believers, we need to get better at discerning the world. Now, you can't just go and believe everything you see, right? So we know that there are certain things that are being presented to us at an optics level that is being shown on the news, and they say this is the truth, this is the facts. And then behind the scenes, whether it's extreme conspiracy all the way down to just maybe a sense thing, you discern and you say, you know what, maybe it's not what the world says it is, because wide is the path that leads to destruction, narrow is the way that leads to life. And that holds true, especially for worldly opinions and worldly things. And so let's talk a little bit about this whole idea of this perception of reality. I'll just briefly go through this, and then let's talk about the hot topic of what is this Pope doing? Who is he? Has he, in some sense, been sent by the white hats? Is he a plant? A lot of people are talking about all kinds of things because he's American, and then all the way down to, no, it's just a simple thing that Catholics have been doing for such a long time. Somebody naturally passed away, and then now we have a new Pope that has been elected or selected, and it is what it is. And so you can just take it at face value and everything in between. What you see in front of you is what I just basically made up, but the concept is what I want to try to explain. This by no means indicates the pie or circle or percentage of, conservatives and liberals and moderates. I'm not saying all that. I'm just illustrating to you what I've been talking about before, which is this concentric circle of the perception of reality that many people, by time or by discernment or by whatever reason, people are more aware, more enlightened, as I like to call it, more awakened, and others are just asleep, or they are normies. They just understand the stuff at face value, whether it's because of an aptitude issue or whether it's just access to news and research and all of that stuff. And this just happens to be across the world. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how religious you are or holy you are. It doesn't matter any of that. It's just what it is by sheer distribution of just the population at large. And so if you look at the outer layer, right, is what I call level one, which is normalized. So it's the normies, it's surface level optics. It's in some sense, it could be a facade. It could be just what people tell you is the truth, what the government tells you, this is what you've got to believe. This is the narrative. We don't want to tell you the truth, whether it's fact or not. This is what is basically public perception, right? This is the mainstream narrative, if you want to call it that. So mainstream media and just many people believe, and again, a lot of it is true, right? It's true that certain things are what it is, and other things, it may not be true. And so I'm not belittling, I'm not making fun of this layer. It's just that this is where a lot of people, especially if you just want to grasp what's happening from what they're telling you, what you're researching, what you're observing, this is where a lot of people just get information. And this is where there is an agreement to some degree about some facts at large across the world, right? And so this breakdown is further distributed by whatever, and again, I just selected this, conservatives, liberal, however, in today's time, the leaning is in terms of values or morals or politics, however you want to chop this up. But basically, this is the outer layer. The inner layer are more awakened people, right? And if you've been following me, you know what I'm talking about. But these are the people that are trying to think critically. They realize that not everything is what it seems on the outside, but there could be a multi-layer process behind it, right? There could be lobbying efforts, there could be, hidden invisible hand dynamics at play, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to sound conspiratorial, right? It's just what it is, right? It's not what people say. Maybe there's, corporate greed behind something. There might be political, corruption behind something, all that stuff. And this goes for any side, conservatives, liberals, it doesn't matter. People believe in some sense what they want to believe. They think that Trump is bad and has wicked motives. People think Biden and all these other guys, they have wicked, evil motives, all of that. So it's just basically critical thinking, in some sense deductive reasoning, but for many others, it's taking two steps. And for a lot of people, it could be two steps in the wrong direction. So it could be a total different perception of reality. But the point being is that people believe, and they are more awakened to what the normal narrative is, what the mainstream narrative is. Now, level 3 is what I call the enlightened, right? These are deep thinking. You can even talk about conspiracy. You can talk about just a lot more stuff. But there's, these underground, and Q is part of it, many others, right? Any forums and Telegram, like people that talk about, okay, well, this could be, and again, it doesn't have to sound absurd. It's just very deep critical thinking of, well, that's within the realm of possibility, right? So I just wanted to quickly introduce this, and how I've decided to lay this out for the sake of the Pope discussion that I want to quickly touch on today is the audience here, the normalized, is what you're basically seeing on the outside. This is where the news is presenting, this event, right? And again, I put this in the middle because you can interpret it as an audience 1 member or an audience 2 member, the people that are normalized or awakened. The media is telling you, oh, this is how, the white smoke, the black smoke, this is how they're selected. This is why, this process is, and they're just going through historical facts, right? And then others are taking it a little deeper, right? They're looking through tweets. They're looking through, okay, who is this guy? What was his past? What is he said? Is he anti-Trump? All of this is very it's very clean cut, right? So the standard process, the anti-Trump moral issues, right? Debates about these moral issues. So what did he say? What does he stand for? People trying to figure this stuff out. Other people are going even a little deeper, and you could even say this is the awakened stage, or just kind of between normalized and awakened, is that this could have been his past, right? What he said, who he was 8 years ago, isn't what he stands for. So he could have been anti-Trump, but he could be Trump, right? And there's and as you go deeper in the awakening, you could even think that, okay, maybe there was strategy behind selecting an American Pope to go against certain American values, maybe to balance out this negative stigma about America, about Trump. Maybe it's to go against Trump. Maybe there was lobbying efforts. Like, what are the reasons behind why this person was chosen, right? Surely you can't believe that a bunch of cardinals went in and just said, you know what? We like this guy. It's a popularity contest, or whatever, even like the half decent excuse there was to select the next pope. He speaks multiple languages, charismatic, he's loving, his values are good. Maybe it wasn't like that. Other people are thinking, well, we're in a new global sort of awakening or shakening. There's a global order. So maybe there's something to be said about what's going on with power dynamics and many other things. So this is more of that sort of, let's think critically, let's get a little deeper, let's maybe stay a little bit away from far-fetched conspiracy, but we're just talking and thinking a little deeper, because these guys are not stupid, right? And so even from a religious perspective, and people even quoting Bible, talking about how Jesus said that people will worship me, will honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Second Timothy talking about they have a form of godliness, but denying its power thereof. And even just in the last days, people thought that, Jesus, I did all these things for you, but then God will shut them out of heaven and say, I never knew you. And so all of these things playing into the part of what was back then, the Pharisees, the modern day, or rather the Pharisees and Sadducees, but playing out as possibly, and again, this is not to bash on the Catholic Church or the people, but rather certain structures. This is even true of certain denominations within Christianity. People are cessationists. They don't understand or believe certain biblical truths and who the deity of Christ is, who God the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit is, talking about certain things. And we've skewed away from the true Bible and what it's actually saying, and implementing and executing on that. So people will be 99.9% good, but they could have that 1%, and it could even be satanic in a sense. So again, I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not going to go down that path. There's a lot of religious people, if you want to say, that are talking about those things, and we can I could refer to that, and you could follow and talk about that. But what I'm trying to talk about today and get to is that there's a multi-layer process of getting to a heightened sense of discernment in what's happening. So I do want to say this about this Pope and about certain people. So whether it's the Pope or whether it's a bishop, whether it's a Catholic, attending person, all of these people can be saved. They can know God, and they could be in the wrong place. Their hearts, their minds, they could be saved, born again, all of that stuff. But it's just hard to discern and determine who that person is in the midst of structure. So I believe that especially with what we've seen in the Old Testament, there are people that can speak to and talk to God, just like Balaam, the donkey, and just certain prophets that were outside of the chosen people of God. And then also even certain kings like King Cyrus comes to mind, King Nebuchadnezzar, these guys, they could be used for godly things. So that begs the question, is this guy that a lot of people are talking about, is he a white hat plant, meaning that he's there to clean house on the Vatican and about the Pope and all of these things, because the church has been infiltrated in many ways, and talking about the Catholic Church, but also the Christian church, right? A lot of churches have been infiltrated by the devil. There was a post that said, when does a church become a playground? When does a church become a business, become political, become corrupt, willfully blind, controlled? And other ones talking about some potentially sinister things in this post, talking about house of God, only the beginning. Those who are taught to trust the most expect many, many, many similar reports to surface from around the world. It goes a lot deeper, connected. The choice to know will be yours. And here it says the U.S. Holy See relations. The Holy See is, and this is coming from the state.gov site, the Holy See is the universal government of the Catholic Church and operates from a Vatican City state, a sovereign, independent territory. The Pope is the ruler of both Vatican City state and the Holy See. The Holy See, as the supreme body of government of the Catholic Church, is a sovereign judicial entity under international law. Wealth, power, sanctuary against criminal prosecution, recipe for ... And so going back to possibly what could be happening, again, I'm not saying this is true, I'm not saying this is what's going on, is that this person, right, was he selected? Was he there to clean house? Is he going to be doing certain things because he's now being used by the white hats? Or is he still a satanic sort of op planted by, I don't know, Satan himself or not? Is there going to be some kind of exposure under, what's happening in the Vatican that has happened for so many years? Again, the church being infiltrated by the devil. And in some sense, if you want to just say the whole structure of this isn't even biblical or godly to begin with, you could have that opinion too. But the point here is that each individual is what matters, right? It's about who is being used and selected, and have this sort of power or influence over the people, over the structure, to then go and do certain things, whether for good or hide it and do it for bad. And it doesn't show outwardly, but there are other sinister things, whether it's the global elite and money and these power-hungry people being sold out and being used or not, or other things. So that's sort of that question that is being brought up and discussed. So I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of the teaser of certain things, but more so the framework of how there are different layers and levels, and how we need to not just brush off things as, oh, that's kooky, that's conspiracy, that's crazy, but being open to the possibility that something else is happening behind the scenes. And I'm not saying you just believe everything. I'm not saying you should be a conspiracy crazy, person like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you want to improve in your discernment, there needs to be an open-mindedness to saying, you know what, it could be something that the media, what the news, what others, the governments are telling you, could be different from that, because there's something else going on. Because if you are a believer, you know that the ushering in of the Antichrist spirit, of the Antichrist himself. And again, I don't believe this Pope is the Antichrist. I'm not, people have discussed certain things like that, but I don't think so. I believe that there's other stuff more powerful, other things that are going to happen. This is just possibly even an innocent man who is being brought in. He maybe just actually was selected and voted on, and he lived a good, quiet life. Maybe he has certain morals and certain things. Maybe he's not Holy Spirit inspired or filled, all of these things, but he's just an innocent sort of bystander who's going through the motions of being selected and being used, or he could have been chosen, again, chosen in the sense of by the white hats or whatever group, good or bad, for this time, for whatever reason there is. I'm just putting it out there that it's not as cut and dry as we think it is, because there's lobbying groups, there are people with power, and it's very easy to get access to these types of people, meaning the Pope and the religious sort of head. And if you know the three independent cities, City of London, the District of Columbia, and the Vatican City, and you can research into those things, but there are a lot of things that tie back to global order, world order, and how people are trying to use this either for their own gain or possibly as it maybe as it started or in some process through this whole time period to be used for good. So who knows? But just putting it out there because there's a lot more we have to try to digest and be open-minded to as we move forward into this new season, as a lot of people have given their 2 cents on what is going on. So a lot more to come, guys, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. I want to also mention that I am in need of support, guys, financial support and prayer for this next season of my life. If you, as you have heard me say multiple times, I'm here in Korea. It's my next stage in life. God is using me here for a lot of great things and more to come, but I need your support, guys. I have a link down below. I also have other alternative methods. If you would love to support me or help me even just a little bit, that would be so helpful, guys. Love you guys. I want to still pray about the direction of this channel and what kind of content, but please keep me in your prayers as I try to discern what to do in this next season. And I have other channels as well if you want to follow me on the encouragement channel for YouTube. But at the moment, this channel will be dedicated more towards current events, interpretation of the times, and just generally how to discern this current season that we are in. So love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.